All right, the last couple things we're going to look for is a metaphor and some symbolism. So let's start by looking for the metaphor. The metaphor is, again, a little tricky. Just like in the last one, the metaphor was a little bit tricky because it wasn't just a direct statement. But I want you to look for the metaphor. It is in the last stanza. Okay, this is a stanza right here. I want you to see if you can find the metaphor. Okay, two things are being directly compared, right? And when you find it, this stanza right here, underline it and write it as a metaphor. Okay. If you found that metaphor, good job. Now, there are two different places in here, or two different things in here that are symbols. Can you find at least one? Right? What two things in here could be a symbol? Right? If you can find them, underline them, and then say, what do you think it symbolizes? Think about what this poem is about. You are really getting an understanding of poetry pretty well if you can find these symbols and understand what they are symbolizing. All right. So this is a narrative poem, meaning it's actually a poem that's being told like a story. And I want you to notice that there's really two stanzas, right? What is the significance of the break right here? Okay. What has happened all the way up to here? And what has happened here? What has happened in this little space right here? Go ahead and write that down. Why is this broken into two stanzas? There's a before and an after. Okay. What happens before? What is the after? See if you can figure out why Gary Soto made this space. A poet always thinks about his stanzas and spacing. Why is there this space? And answer that question. Once you get done answering that question, then I want you to go to the back and answer these questions. The first one is just a quick summarize the story in oranges. So if someone said to you, what is this oranges poem about? You just say, oh, it's this story about blank. Just a quick summary of the story in oranges. Remember, it's a narrative poem, so it's actually telling a story. All right, and because it's a story, number two says, what is the conflict? And remember, a conflict can just be a problem. So in the poem, the boy runs into a problem, the speaker of the poem, right? State what the boy's problem is and give the line from the poem, that's the evidence, give the direct line from the poem that shows the problem of the poem, the conflict. Okay? And then, because it's a narrative poem, that problem is solved. And that's the turning point of the poem. Where in the poem is the problem solved? Does somebody help him solve that problem? Give evidence from the poem. So where's the turning point? Write down the place in the poem where it's solved. So this is the problem. This is where it's solved. Then, how does the boy, the speaker, feel at the end of the poem? Right? Then give evidence from the poem. Some of that figurative language is going to give you a feeling for how that boy feels. So again, give evidence, and you should be able to tell how he is feeling. Right? Once you're done with that, this is the big important part. So this is a poem about first love and growing up. Okay? That's the topic. But what is the author's message or theme about these topics? Okay, so use this, but then say, what is his message about first love? What is his message about growing up? Right? Then give 2 pieces of evidence to support your answer and explain it. So you are going to write your answer right here. When you're done with that, go ahead and put your packet into the 7th hour bin.